Morning, guys. Another Shelfside Spurs show pop up with another little video I've put together analysing Daniel Levy and the board's recent actions. So, yeah, here we go.
Morning, chaps. Have you all seen there's more comms traffic from THFC? My word, hasn't Donna-Marie Cullen been busy, eh? Scrabbling around, putting out fires, eh, Donna? You know what you could have better spent your time on? Drafting yours and Daniel's and the rest of your nodding dogs' resignations. Because we're coming for them, believe me. Might as well get them typed up now, you'll be needing them soon. This fan advisory board announcement is classic Donna-Marie Cullen messaging. We've seen this before. Something goes hideously wrong, as it has more and more in recent times, and so Donna-Marie holds Daniel's hand, coos that everything will be all right, and announces something she thinks will appease the insects, something that doesn't actually mean anything of substance. Don't be fooled. How many here, hand on heart, believe that if we hadn't been so thoroughly violated by Newcastle, that this latest sop wouldn't still be stuffed in the drawer marked "Never in a Month of Sundays" in Daniel Levy's filing cabinet? And how many of you, again, hand on heart, believe that any advisory body would have any sway whatsoever over Daniel Levy anyway? Remember that to him and his cabal of management consultants, it's not a fan advisory board, it's an insect advisory board. If you want to advise the executive board, advise them from the stands, advise them in the concourses, advise them on the high street, advise them to piss off and stop poisoning our club. That's the only fan advice that has any merit. Tell them they aren't wanted. Daniel Levy, Donna-Marie Cullen, Matthew Collicott, Rebecca Capelhorn, Todd Klein, John Turner, Scott Munn. Tell them you want them out. Shout it from the terraces, every game, home and away. Every call into TalkSport, every message on BBC Sport, every forum post, every medium, wherever the message can be put out, make it clear. Not welcome. Look at the page on the club's website when they sacked Christian Stellini. It was titled, "A Club Update from Daniel." Not a message from the chairman, as in previous communications. No. It was a club update from Daniel. Because it had to be warm and fuzzy, right, Donna? Oh, look, a message from Dan. How sweet. I wonder how he's getting on these days. Had to put a human face on the spreadsheet, botherer, right? I was surprised it didn't end lots of hugs and kisses, Danny boy. Don't let it distract you. Don't be fooled. They know they are running out of room and they will use anything to keep the wolf from the door. It's all PR. Have you seen the latest? Apparently Levy really wanted Conte to stay till the end of the season, but it was Conte that refused to return. Of course it was, Daniel. Of course it was. Tell us, did you also really want Mourinho to stay too? Did you really want Harry Redknapp to stay? Or Andre Villas-Boas? Or Tim Sherwood? Or Martin Jol? Did you really want every one of the 16 permanent managers you've appointed in the last 22 years to stay, but it was they that wanted out? It's all smoke and mirrors. Watch, people, watch. Over the next few days, you'll see more of this sort of thing drip feeding into the press, because Donna-Marie is a master at this sort of thing. She'll keep on pushing little stories out to friendly journos to distract and throw us off, to keep us at bay so that they, remember their names, Daniel Levy, Donna-Marie Cullen, Matthew Collicott, Rebecca Capelhorn, Todd Klein, John Turner, Scott Munn, can keep on pouring your money, your wages, your hard-earned cash into their pockets while delivering us nothing. Don't fall for it. Resist. Tell them enough is enough. They bleat on about being fans as well. Don't believe them. Even if they were fans of Spurs, they're fans of money more, and they don't want what you want. And they don't think that you deserve anything more than what they've served up in the last 22 years. And if you want proof of that, just go back and read their repellent response to the Supporters Trust questions earlier this year. A lot of you like to have a pop at the Supporters Trust, and to be fair, they have been pretty lily-livered, if you'll pardon the pun, in their dealings with Levy and Co. But that's not the point. The response, orchestrated by Cullen herself, the one who calls us fans insects, while drawing a salary that we pay the highest ticket prices in the league to fund, shows us just what the Tottenham Hotspur Executive Board thinks of us. It was so contemptuous and so scornful, so outraged that the supporters would have the cheek to question the almighty Executive Board of Tottenham Hotspur. Who the hell do they think they are? Who the hell are they to tell us what we can and cannot ask about the club we sink our hard-earned money into season after season, game after game? Who the hell are they to curl their lip at legitimate questions any fan would want answers to? Who the hell do they think they are to refuse to even countenance an accommodating response when they've spent the last 22 years enriching themselves off the back of our money and our earnings? Daniel Levy earns £6.5 million a year. I can only speak for myself, but I'd have to work for a century and a half to earn what he earns in a year. And he doesn't want to answer questions about your club and your money? And all the while, we've got dog walkers and dairy attendants with the gall to try and tell us it's raining when Levy is pissing on our shoes. They make a big noise about how quiet we are after a good result, even though it isn't true. But they themselves are nowhere to be found when things turn against their sacred idol. It's all bait and switch. Remember the ESL? What did they do? They sacked Mourinho 6 days before a cup final. Because it's not about what's best for the club, it's about what's best for keeping themselves where they are so they can continue draining money out of our club. How dare they refuse to answer questions? The only talent they have is exploiting other people's talents, other people's skills, other people's resources to enrich themselves, and yet they don't want to come to the table? And we poor saps turn our ire on the Supporters Trust. Forget them. At most, they're irrelevant. Focus on who the relevant targets are. I'll give you their names again. Daniel Levy, Donna-Marie Cullen, Matthew Collicott, Rebecca Gapplehorn, Todd Klein, John Turner, and Scott Munn. What gives Daniel Levy the right to decide which Spurs heroes should or shouldn't be immortalised in statue form? It shows how little actual achievement means to him that the only person he countenances having a statue is Harry Kane. Maybe. With no disrespect to Harry, who has given us so much, he hasn't won anything for Spurs. So why should he get a statue above the likes of Danny Blanchflower, Jimmy Greaves or Bill Nicholson, for God's sake? I'll tell you why. Because those three would be an inconvenient reminder of times when Spurs actually set out to win things, and did. To Daniel Levy, Harry Kane scoring more goals than anyone in a Spurs shirt is worth immortalising, but men who brought silverware to the club aren't. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know? Although that said, I confidently expect an announcement in the next few days saying that the club has decided to erect a statue to some Spurs hero. Anything to keep the wolf from the door, right, Donna? Don't be fooled by it. All they're trying to do is distract you from the shit show they've turned the club into. It is time for them to go. Now, what about that mealy-mouthed statement from the players offering a refund for the Newcastle game? This is just more bait and switch, because the call from fans was for the club to pay the refund, and the management's consultants were dead set against that. Why? Because it would set a precedent, according to Alistair Gold. Set a precedent? Why? Could it be because they expect more debacles like Sunday? And so they're worried about having to issue more refunds? More of their money pouring away from the club? Their money? It's your money. You fund the club, not them. They don't want to compensate you for not delivering the very thing a football club is supposed to be about. Setting a precedent? Do me a favour. But the calls were too great. So what do? They trot out the sacrificial lambs, the players. And I can't believe that the players are praising, the people are praising the players for their offer of a refund. What, £30 for every travelling fan? The allocation at St James's Park is around 3,000. 30 times 3,000 is £90,000. Wow, what a sacrifice. The average wage of a Premier League player is about £50,000 a week. What about our fans' transport costs? What about their accommodation costs? And the player's performance was a direct result of Levy's gutting of the club so that he, his mouthpiece, and his nodding dogs can get rich off our tickets. Go and check it out for yourselves. There are now articles in the press criticising the decision because it sets a precedent, apparently. Stand up, Spurs fans. I wish there were guarantees of success that by raising your voices, you'll win through and remove the people sucking the lifeblood out of the body of our club. I can't, but we still have to try. In years to come, what do you want to tell your children and grandchildren? That we came fourth a few times? That we got through to the quarterfinals of a third-tier European competition against a team that people can barely pronounce, let alone remember? Or that we were Spurs? Always in the conversation, always a threat, always a challenge for any club, big or small. Reclaim your club. It's yours, not theirs. Try to take it back, or across the space of another 22 years, Levy and his cabal of management consultants will sail off into the sunset, rich and comfortable, and we'll all be left with nothing, not even the echo of glory.
There you go, chaps. Just some more thoughts on Daniel Levy and the board. I mean, I can't say it enough. We are at the behest of people that basically view football as nothing but a commodity. Okay, and I'm not going to be unrealistic and say that that football isn't a commodity. It is. You know, that's just the way that the industry has gone. But it's more than just that. It shouldn't be treated as a commodity. This is my own personal philosophy, is that football shouldn't be treated in the way that it has been. It isn't a business. It shouldn't be considered a business because if you really want to talk about it, it doesn't conform to the actual fundamentals of a market economy. There is no supply and demand per se, because we are captive audience. That's a different question. That's a different discussion. The point here is that all you need to do is look at the press statement, the press release back from 2001, when Levy was asked about why ENIC chose Tottenham Hotspur. And he said it himself. He said there was no emotion involved. They chose football because, in his own words, that's where the money is. It is nothing but an investment vehicle. I've said it before as well. If they want to make money off football, fine, that's okay, as long as the football is prioritized. You know, it's supposed to be a symbiosis. It's supposed to be they give us something in return for something that we give them. But that's not the way that Daniel Levy runs things. For him, it's all take, because he has identified that there is a group that he can take from. It's not about that partnership between a club and its supporters. It is about, we are customers, they are the business, and that is the only opportunity. Because this man, in my personal opinion, doesn't have the ability to think like in terms of human terms. Yeah, that's why he did stuff like sack Martin Jol at halftime and tell everyone before he told Jol himself. A human being, someone with even the smallest dollop of empathy, wouldn't do that. At the very least, they show enough respect to, you know, tell the person involved first and then announce it to everyone else. But I was at the Getafe game where that happened, and it was going around the stadium at halftime. Everyone knew, and yet he was still there in the dugout, you know, going to meet Juan de Ramos before Jol had even been fired, in full view of the world's press. Everyone saw it. There were pictures of it in the papers of Levy meeting Juan de Ramos. You know, this is the type of person. Now, I'm not going to criticize someone who doesn't have empathy for not having empathy. That's just the way they're built. But that person should not be in charge of our football club or any football club. We have to make our voices heard. We have to get out there and shout and scream and in non-violent ways. Okay, I would caution people not to do anything of that nature because that's not right. But there is a protest tomorrow opposite the club shop starting at 5:30. I'm going to seek to be there. And we need to make our voices heard. And if you love Spurs, you can make it, and you're going to the game, you have to. You have to go onto message boards. You have to go onto, Talk Sport and phone-in shows, onto the BBC Sport website, and every single message, every single thing that you say has got to be about the hierarchy. And bear in mind, journalists are not your friends, okay? I'm not going to necessarily criticize them for anything they have said or anything like that, but they are not your friends. At best, the only thing they want is a story. At worst, they will push the agenda that has been given to them by the likes of Donna-Marie Cullen. Because remember, this is a multi-billion pound business we're talking about. Do you honestly believe that their marketing is not right, sharp, and on the money? Okay? It's all designed to distract you. Yeah, you go onto a talk show, for instance, or a phone-in show, and you talk about how Daniel Levy is this and the executive board is that. Believe me, at some point, one of those journos or all of them will say, yeah, but tell me, Mark, which manager do you think Spurs should appoint? And that just, boom, pulls you over to talking about something that the club don't want you to be talking about, the club want you to be talking about, distract you from the thing they don't want you to be talking about. Yeah? They don't want you talking about the hierarchy. They don't want you talking about 22 years of failure. They don't want you talking about one trophy in that period of time. They want you talking about who's coming next, which player can fix things, what's the next step for Ryan Mason, which player is letting you down. All of that is a distraction from the key point, which is that the hierarchy is not providing what they are supposed to, because it's not their objective. So don't be distracted. If they try to distract you with stuff like that, turn to them. You've got the right to speak. Say to them, that's not the point that I'm making. I want to talk about this. Yeah, they've brought you onto their show. They say they want your opinion. If they want your opinion, you have to state it. Yeah. In the message boards, don't be distracted by ridiculous articles like Chris Sutton's saying that Conte was a traitor. A traitor? A traitor to whom? Yeah? Most fans back Conte for what he said. They might not necessarily have backed him for the style or all of that stuff, but that too was a distraction. Okay? Now, I'm joined now by a certain person with a beard. How you doing, Coobs? You all right?
And a proper haircut as well.
And a proper haircut as well. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well here. Love the video, mate. You're spot on with everything you said. I liked some of the comments as well, saying that should be a CBB sort of read along with Rez type thing. So let's tuck Uncle Levy in once and for all, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right with what you've been saying though. There's been so many sort of factions within the sort of disgruntlement, if that can be a word. I think it should be. That it's all kind of coming together now, isn't it? People have just reached that breaking point that sooner than some of us were expecting, but we knew it was going to come. Just want to reiterate now, it's not about scoring points against other fans and the told you so's. It's all about welcome. We want you alongside us. Whatever the form of protest is, do something. Now is the time. We need everybody making a noise where possible, even if it's retweeting things, even if it's go on your social media and just put a little message in there and say, I fully back this. Whatever the former protest is, make the noise, make it impossible for Levy to hide behind anything now. He's run out of managers to have as a meat shield in front of him, hasn't he? So where's he going to go to now? The little token introduction of a new offer or a new sponsorship deal, that isn't going to cut it, is it? That people are wise up to this now. Now is the time. Let's all get there together. I think.
One of his real successes in his time in his tenure has been to turn Spurs fans into financial analysts, all talking about, oh, well, can we afford this? Can we afford that? What's happening to the naming rights? All of that stuff. But we're football fans. We want. I mean, I know that you in particular have a real liking for a specific style of football, but beyond that, it's about playing football whereby we can take pride in our club. And that's really what supporting a football club is about anyway. It's just indulging that inbuilt tribalism that exists within human beings. This is just modern tribalism. I'm not saying that in a critical way. It's something that human beings need. If they're not delivering that, if we are focusing on, distractions from the thing that we actually watch football for, that's not a good thing. But that is one of his successes.
Yes, it is, absolutely. So almost a case of trying to erase our history. Like the Super Spurs don't matter. Jimmy Greaves doesn't matter.
That's right.
Nonsense. That's the reason you should be supporting a club in the first place. It's not what's happening now. It's the history. That is the club. That's right. So
that's right.
Nothing Levy can do can take away from that. He tries his best. I think we were talking about the statues in the video, weren't you? And the fact that it's ludicrous that Harry Kane could have a statue in Levy's eyes, but Jimmy Greaves, Danny Blanchflower, Dave Mackay can't. When they oversaw and of course the great Bill Nick. And they oversaw the greatest period in the club's history in terms of success. Right.
Absolutely.
Those are statues it should be mandatory outside the ground. It's made about it's to do with the council and things like that. You've got a multi-billion pound business.
Right.
You can make a few little financial incentives to get your way on statues, can't you? It'll benefit the community and the club. And the fans would love it.
And on top of that, they've got that massive open space outside the South Stand, the courtyard, where, there are plenty of food trucks back there. Lots of food trucks, but, there's no room. The council won't allow statues. I'm going to bring in another guest, someone who's turned up, all the way from the deep darks of the West Country. Actually, it's a West Country contingent on Shelfside Spurs show today, isn't it? We've got Mark Cousins. Mark, welcome.
Good morning. The sheriff has arrived.
How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you two?
Yeah, not so bad. Not so bad on this Wednesday morning. And what are your thoughts, Mark? What do you think on what's going on? Do you see the distractions? Do you see the sort of the bells and whistles being thrown at us just to distract us from the main point here?
It's the same old story every time. Just anything to shut us up for a couple of months. Just a couple of months. I'm amazed. I'm his biggest lover anyway. Everybody knows that. I'm amazed Poch ain't back. I'm amazed because that'd just shut everyone up immediately. Yeah. It would. But it's just to deflect attention from himself. That's all it is. That's all it is. I mean, I put in your comments. I can remember going in the 90s. I used to go a lot in the 1990s, and we were absolute dross, mid-table mediocrity. But even though we got spanked, we always went down fighting. There's none of that now. It's gone. It's gone. Yeah. People just don't care anymore.
Absolutely.
I went loads of times. I went when we were 1-0 up at half time against Chelsea, and we lost 6-1. Yeah. Tor Andre Flo scored a hat trick in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
And we lost 6-1. But the team was still fighting.
Yeah.
The team was still fighting. Now there's none of it. and
No.
it all roots from the top. It all comes from the top.
Cultural thing. Yeah, it's a cultural thing.
Of course it
is. And a lot of people will turn around and say, oh, well, we need better players. And it's like, well, on the one hand, yeah, the squad has festered and rotted. And, I think it was Brian Daigle on We Are Tottenham TV pointed out that of the team or the squad that went up to Newcastle on the last day of the season in 2016, I think it was, where we finished third and lost 5-1 to Newcastle there. Of that team or of that squad, fully 5 members of that squad are still in the Tottenham squad. And in actual fact, they were squad players then or were on the bench, but now are first teamers. Yeah. But at the same time, we have had player churn as well. But what happens is that we look at these players and we think, wow, this player can improve us. This player's in. We were screaming out for Pedro Porro to come in. And he comes in and all of a sudden he's rubbish. And it's not because we're buying necessarily rubbish players. It's because we're buying players and they come into a culture that tells them that enough is just enough. Yeah. Not to strive, not to fight. I don't know if you guys have you heard about this leadership group?
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah. Now let's do it. Apparently, within the Tottenham squad, there is a group of players who make up the leadership group. And it consists of Harry Kane, Hugo Lloris, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Eric Dyer. That leader of men, Eric Dyer, right? Now, you're a player. You see Eric Dyer making fuck up after fuck up after fuck up, game after game after game. And then you're told he's on the leadership group. How are you going to feel as a player in that culture? How are you going to feel that you look at this man who can't defend his way out of a paper bag, who is on the leadership group? What is it there for? How about, here's an idea for Spurs, how about a leadership group that consists of, I don't know, the manager and his staff, perhaps?
Ooh. You're onto something there. We should try it. Perhaps you should put that in a nicely worded letter.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's all cultural, guys, and this is why I think it's important not to be distracted by individual names, let's call them. To say, well, Hugo Lloris keeps letting us down. Yeah, he does, but that's a symptom. It's not the disease. I think we spent a lot of time as fans trying to treat the symptoms rather than actually trying to treat the disease. And in my view, the disease is Daniel Levy and his management consultants.
Absolutely. Like I said, managers are basically a symptom at this club as well, aren't they? We don't. For a fact, the fact is we don't know even the style of manager that we're going to have next. Yeah, the club has absolutely no identity, no rudder. There's clearly no plan to the fans. If there is a plan at all, certainly no fans aware of it. We're always guessing. Other teams, you know what the score is. Brighton or Leicester, even the type of manager that's going to come in next, the style of football is going to continue. With us, none of that. Chop and change at will. And you've got to think that it's the likes of Daniel Levy is sat there looking through a list of names that are given to him as possible managers. Oh, I've heard of that one. Let's get him.
Yeah.
There's no consideration for what we've got in the squad at the moment. And as you rightly said, pointing out that list of so-called leadership players, the fact you got, I am going to be critical of Hugo Lloris because I think most people saw that as a bit more than dodgy, him not coming out for the second half at Newcastle. Yeah. That looks a case of me of, I don't fancy this, I'm off. And that's your team captain. That is your team captain. The fact you got Eric Dyer there as well. Not only has he been picked all the time, and as you said, he was a squad player before, he's become a first teamer. But look at the kind of wages he's on. Those kind of wages and putting in those kind of shifts, it's outrageously bad example to anybody at the club. Some of those youngsters coming through will see that and think, I can coast along. As long as I keep my head down, don't cause trouble, I'll get a new contract. Shouldn't be like that, but it is, and it's been like it for a long time.
That's right. And that's why we get
excuses. And presumably now, the next breakdown, it'll be on that leadership, the players, little leadership group. It'll be their fault then. But why are they there? Half of the people on there shouldn't be at the club.
No. And again, it's just it's why we get players who, when we look at them, when they're not at the club, they are either really good and we bring them in, they become crap, or they're here and they're crap and they go off and become really good. Apparently, players who have left Tottenham have between them earned something like 75 trophies.
Yeah.
Right? Not one of them won one at Spurs.
Yeah. I also like the statistic about Gareth Bale. Since leaving Spurs, he won a trophy in every single season except for the season where he came back on loan to Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a joke. That is an absolute joke. Yeah, but can you imagine this player thing, the player power movement, whatever it's called?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that going on in the days of Sir Alex or Brian Clough?
Absolutely not.
Jesus
Absolutely
Christ. No, there's no way on this planet that would have been allowed.
Even under other managers outside of this club, do you think they have a leadership group at, I don't know, Manchester City, or a leadership group? No, right? In those clubs, in Manchester City, Pep Guardiola is the master of the football side of things.
Yeah,
Klopp is the master of football things at Liverpool. Look at clubs where players have too much power. They inevitably fall apart. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea are an absolute basket case right now. They are desperately flailing around trying to steer this ship because their players have got far too much power. It actually happened to Conte when he was at Chelsea as well. It's done for Potter. If Pochettino goes there and he can't get his a grip on them, which I think he can, but if he can't get a grip on them, it'll happen to him as well. And we've just formalized it even more, especially when Conte criticized the players and he's the one who gets sacked.
Yeah,
and he's the one who gets sacked. Levy is basically saying to the players, "You can do what you like. Managers are expendable. You guys are the ones that call the shots. You do that, and they're going to go to pot." And now I expect us to start getting good results under Ryan Mason. Not because Ryan Mason is necessarily a good manager. I'm not critical of him, but I'm not saying, he's only 32 or something, or 31. But because it's what they want to do. They want to play under Ryan Mason now, so they'll go out and try and deliver. But as soon as things start going wrong again, as soon as they sort of start feeling a little bit meh about things, it will fall apart again. And it's just part of culture.
Yeah, well, that just about sums it all up. I mean, let's face it, all of us in our jobs, if you weren't pulling your weight, you'd be out the door. Be like, oh, sorry, we don't need you no more. See you later.
Yeah.
But it's just, they seem, just do what you like. Just come on in, get paid 50, 100, 200,000 a week. Just do what you like. There's no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah.
None. Yeah, it's like I just said. If I perform like that, I'd be up the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah. It's good money if you can get it.
It's the only thing Conte did wrong, wasn't it? Because Levy couldn't give him a damn about the style of football, couldn't give a damn about actually winning the silverware. Top four was still on the card, so everything was good. The only thing Conte did wrong for Levy is open his mouth and tell the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That embarrasses him. That really embarrasses him. So, there comes a point, which seems to be now, where all the smoke screens and mirrors and the PR team at Tottenham can't cope with what's going on. The sheer avalanche of shit that's been basically coming out from this club in the last few months is uncontainable. Even these people that we would deem in the past, as being very supportive of Levy, that's going. It's very hard to find somebody that's still backing him now.
Yeah. But they will still try to distract us. They will still try and throw us off because it's about the story. You know, it's about trying to get some people just to start spouting about stuff. You know, because it's natural to do that. You know, what's wrong with your club? Oh, well, the hierarchy's crap. But also, if we get Nagelsmann, you know, things will be fine. It's like, stop doing it, guys. Do not let yourselves be distracted. Focus on the targets. I gave you the names, but just think of it as the executive board, okay? There is not one football person on that board, okay? A lot of people say, what about this Scott Munn character? I think Carl was joking that I'm going in on Scott Munn before he's even started the job. But yeah, Scott Munn is not a football person. Yeah, he's a management consultant too. Do you know how he got his start in sport? His first job was being on the organizing committee for the Sydney 2000 Olympics.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's not a football person. Yeah, then he went off and became. Then he started working for the Australian National Rugby League. Yeah, as an executive. Then he started working as chief executive officer for Melbourne FC. Then the City Group turned him into the head of their China division. He's not a football person.
That's the key bit for me when I was reading through his resume. As soon as I saw the words, they were impressed with his ability to get into the Chinese market.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all it is. It's about that. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with a club trying to make money in order to fund the sporting side of things. But the second part, they're not doing. They're not doing that second part. They just want to focus on the first part. And we need a board that has a good mixture. We need a board that has lots of football people on it as well. Yeah. I still think whatever shape it takes, Levy has got to go. Levy has no rope left for him. No. The same with Donna-Marie Cullen. Donna-Marie Cullen, I actually resent her more than I resent Daniel Levy. I have to say, because she is so contemptuous of the fans. She views us in even colder terms than Daniel Levy does. And the others are just inconsequential, but they're just stuck in them. And look at their resumes. It's all on the executive. It's all on the club website. It's got a description of their past. And it's all, they did management consulting for this lot. They did management consulting for that. They did business for this, business. It's like, have any of you actually kicked a football before?
Well, maybe this Scott Munn is coming in and we're going to start playing rugby because we're not very good at football.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, the football side is finished, so we'll just take up rugby league or something.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, chaps, thank you for joining me. Thanks to everyone in the chat as well and everyone watching for joining me on this pop-up. Please if you can, if you're able, if you love Spurs, you really do owe it to yourself and to the club, not to the hierarchy, forget them, to the club that you love, the club that we all love, the club that we all want to do well, to get yourself to the protest tomorrow at 5:30 opposite the club shop. Raise your voices if you're going to the game inside the stadium. Shout and scream and make noise about what you want, which is that the hierarchy should go, not change, not bring in a fan advisory board. Get out of our club. Thanks to you guys. Really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you to everyone watching. Do please like, subscribe and comment if you haven't. All your comments are really good for the channel. Log on to 3 Spurs Boys. There's another Spurs channel with Kuv and Bobby Kang who do a Sunday show. Mark, I'm sure you're going to be doing the rounds as well. We'll see. Absolutely. And as always, come on, you Spurs.